Hello. I finally managed to do it. I did not reach exactly 1500, but the comp video will come out sometime this week. I'm at 14,372, and that's the score I got when the emblem dropped. I have not played a single game since, and this is essentially my loadout. I used Redrix and Division. I got more kills in Division by 3 times than I did on Redrix throughout this whole session with an S. I used Void Hunter, which I changed midway, and I got one of the rarest emblems that's in the game currently. But that's not the topic of today's video. The topic of today's video is actually going to be a subclass tier list for PvP. And you need to keep something in mind when I say that. I'm gonna be mainly talking about for 3v3 specific game modes. So if you think about like fun builds and things that might work in 6v6 very well, this is not the video for you. But if you look for subclasses that I think are good for comp and for trials, I will try to make that as obvious as possible. The way I'm going to be listing these are the best, the first, and then the worst out of the best at last. So I can put, for example, Tether, Well, and Stormtrance, right? Just as an example. That means Tether is the best of the best with Well at number 2, and then this is number 3 out of every subclass there is. Now, this is the subclass, not the super, so I just misspoke. But let's get to making this list. So, where do we start? We can start from there to there, or I can just take it offhand. But we can start from how they're ordered essentially. So, first would be Arc Hunter. Arc Hunter is actually really good. I will consider it between S and A tier, but I honestly think it's an S tier subclass. There's many reasons. Jolting is incredibly powerful with its uppercut. Uppercutting is insanely good to make people move if, for example, you're playing a closer range map like Javelin, Anomaly, Dead Cliffs, whatever the map might be. And I've noticed a lot, I got Dead Cliffs so many times, and being inside that corridor with heavy spawns, Arc Strider has its very good uses. And honestly, I think it's the second best non-prismatic subclass in the game. The next one is Behemoth. Behemoth for 3v3 and specifically comp is a B to a C tier. The melee doesn't work well, and overall you don't get that much usage. Now, if you have a Behemoth stack, that's a different story, or if you pair it up with other subclasses that is stasis, you might get some usage out of it, but Behemoth itself don't really do much except for move fast. You can do essentially everything else but better on Prismatic. So overall, it's not a very usable, competitive-wise, subclass at all. If they fix the melee, I would consider it an A tier, but everything else above is still more powerful, essentially. The melee is very bugged for anyone who don't know, and that's why I haven't been playing it as much recently. Strand Titan, it's slightly worse than Behemoth. It doesn't have the movement. It has some good aspects, which would be with glaives and AC/DC feedback fences. But honestly, at that point, I would just use Knockout. Sure, Woven Mail, the healing from your tangles might be good. I just don't see it being the best. You can definitely play it. And the next subclass I'm going to be talking about is something I consider S tier 2, Strand Warlock. Now, you might be wondering why I'm putting Strand Warlock so high. Strand Warlock might have one of the best setups with Weave Walk and Weaver's Call. The Threadlings do a lot of damage, and essentially, if you use it with the Swarmers, it becomes essentially a living nuke. And you might think, sure, suppressing and freezing is the only counter, and I would say that's really the only counter. You can have your Strand Lock, pop Weave Walk, and run in the middle of them, and this works a lot. Everyone is going to start shooting him, and then your other teammates will start shooting the enemies who are focused on the Weave Walk. This have worked way too many times, and most people aren't running stasis or suppressor nades. But, we'll come back to this later, something about Void Hunters. So overall, it's one of the most powerful subclasses that I've seen. It's not as good to be S+, but it's good enough to be considered a S subclass. Also, C would be completely unusable, so you're not going to see a lot of things there, if any. Next, I would say Solar Hunter. Solar Hunter is an A tier subclass. Has a lot of good utilities, but the problem is with like Solar Hunter, I feel like it just doesn't compete with Prismatic Hunter. At that point, you might as well just run it. Now, Heavyweight Knives is good, and if you run the arms, you can get one-shot knives, which is incredible. Trip mine grenades are super strong, and you don't get them on Prismatic, which is a good thing, I think. Maybe, maybe not. And swarm grenades used to be better, but they're pretty shit now. Now, overall, I can't think of any good utilities that would make Solar meta, essentially, compared to the classes above them, which is why I'm putting it in A tier. Void Hunter, this might come as a surprise, but I think it's currently the best subclass in the game. Why, you might ask? Well, you have essentially infinite invisibility, you have infinite smoke bombs, you have no good supers really, you have a great selection of grenades, essentially scatter grenades, but suppressor grenades are also good for other people. You have several exotics that makes Void Hunter good. Omnioculus, you have, of course, Radiant Dance Machines. Graviton Forfeit if you really want to run the longer invis, and you have just essentially a lot of great options on Void Hunter, and it works really well with radar manipulation, which also Prismatic Hunter can do, but just not to the same extent as a Void Hunter. I don't really see how... I can see that other classes can be probably better used, but I just don't see the all-time utility set be up as much. Maybe a great example for this is going to be Solar Warlock, which I think is the second best subclass in this game at the moment, as one of the best supers for comp, which is the roaming Solar super. I don't remember the name of it if I'm going to be honest, but it's really good. You have a ton of healing, and if you play with a healing auto, it's incredibly powerful. People sleep on the healing autos, especially for comp. Now, I don't think it competes to Void Hunter, but I think with the small nerfs, few nerfs, maybe RDM getting neutered a little bit more, I think Solar Warlock might honestly become the better play, but not at the moment. Stasis Hunter, I'm gonna be so real. I think Stasis Hunter is the worst subclass in the game at the moment. It has a lot of good utilities, but it just doesn't do anything Void Hunter does. It does everything Void Hunter does almost, but worse. I don't know if I think it's better than Behemoth or worse. See, the thing is, even though Hunters have Dusk Fills with Renewal, Shatter Dive that is essentially a free kill when you hit it, it's very hard to hits because it's so easy to dodge. Essentially, you kind of know when he's trying to do it, and he puts himself in such a risky situation. I've not seen Shadow Dive actually come up that much and work, and I've seen a lot of Shadow Dive done Hunters in comp, mainly one guy, but I've seen him a lot, and he just doesn't, he can't do it. It's so easy to avoid, and with all the special, he's just a free kill whenever he tries to go for it. Everyone is playing with smoke bombs, so even if you can go in the air, you're just going to get blinded by a smoke most of the time. Especially if you're holding a corner or a door or anything. I just don't see any value in this subclass. The melee is not good, and I don't think it competes with almost anything. I feel like you can beat a Stasis Hunter with almost anything. Sure, you can get in some off angles, off spots, but at the same time, everyone is laning with a pulse rifle. The second they spot you, you're dead. Unless you got a Cloud Strike when they're all clumped up and take them off guard, I don't see a value in it. Arc, Warlock, I don't think this subclass is value, but I think it's better than the three under it. I'm going to put it in A tier. This slide is very powerful, but as you know, Prismatic Warlock just does it way better. Way, way better. Void Titan is the only Titan subclass I consider better than most. It's in a hard one because I want to put it in S tier, but it's also kind of an A tier. It's very good to essentially give your team extra health constantly. And the problem with Void Titan, I feel like the axes are good, but I feel like the axes are just okay at best. The Void Overshield is good for gunfights, but I can't decide if I feel like it's meta in the current state, because I feel like it's not. it doesn't have the freeness essentially as Knockout, which is why I'm considering it worse than Arctitan, but still okay. Stasis Lock, this is an easy S tier, and I'm debating if it's better than Strand Lock or worse than Strand Lock. The thing is, a Stasis Lock essentially completely counters Strand Lock. But Strand Lock has way more maneuverability than a Stasis Lock. It's a weird one. I think it's slightly worse, even though Stasis completely counter it. It's also very easy to avoid. If you're an intelligent player with good positioning, the thing is, your whole util essentially just freezing with Osteomancy. If you don't play that, you're kind of tossing on Stasis Lock, in my opinion. And once you understand how to play against it, it's very easy to know when he's going to throw it, and if he throws it, it's very easy to avoid, unless he's probably the best player in the game and catches you completely off guard. You know if you push this up close to this guy, he's going to freeze you. You know if he slides towards you, he's probably going to try to freeze you. And all you need to do is keep your distance, and in a sandbox where distance is key, it's pretty easy to avoid. But it completely counters Strand Lock, so I must say it's an S tier. And it's also free kills when you ever do catch people off guard. Solar Titan, I think it's slightly worse than Void. It's very good with Peregrine Greaves, but at the same time, Prismatic Titan just does it better. There's not much to add to this subclass. It's a good damage buff, I guess, but like, it's just not prismatic, which is the problem. Strand Hunter, is good, but it's also very avoidable. I think Strand Hunter is very good for good players. You can make a very big move, so you can fly around everywhere essentially, and you can suspend people, catch them off guard, make them miss their fusion shots, but it's just not... I don't think it's an S tier. It's a good 6v6 super, it's a good trial super, but if I'm gonna put comp into the poll too, I don't think it's that good. It's a hard one. I think this is how I want to make it. I think it's better than both of the Warlock subclasses. This might be a controversial one. This might be a controversial one, but I think Arctitan... No, I'm going to put it in S tier. It's no Prismatic Titan still, but it is still really good. I think this is my most comfortable place to put it. Like, the thing is, the arc charge, the bolt charge, it's very easy to avoid and it doesn't really kill most of the time. It's sure free damage, but if a Titan has to sit stationary, it's very easy to just run away from that angle and put up an off angle. He might still do the mega damage, but a fusion rifle will fix that really easily. So I just don't think it's better than Prismatic Titan. Just because it has bolt charges does not mean it's that good. Voidlock, this one is gonna get people pissed. Void Souls are good. No doubt about that. Void Souls are really good. But they're only really good on zone modes. The thing is that I've noticed is that whenever you... because it's bound to your rift, essentially, so you don't get it up as much as a smoke bomb. And they essentially do the same thing. Sure, the Void Soul heals you when it drains other people's damage or health, it weakens enemies, but it's very easy to just avoid it. Unless they're making a full push towards a zone, I feel like it's not going to matter much most of the time. I think it's slightly worse than Strand Lock, but it's nowhere close to Prismatic Lock. Now, this is the thing. Arctitan, Prismatic Titan's the better one. Prismatic Hunter is better than Prismatic Warlock. So, this is essentially my list. The thing is, I'm not a fan of Prismatic. I feel like it's not that good most of the time, and these two subclasses just does everything you really need them to do. These are the best two subclasses for PvP at the moment. No matter what game mode, no matter what. Void Hunter and Solar Warlock. That's just how I look at things, and that's how I feel playing anything. I love trying out every subclass. Honestly, I think I might put it like this. So, you need to see the value of why something is better to put something down here. I think this thing just does everything so much better. There will be no reason to use stasis whatsoever. A dusk field is good, but so can like other things do. Like making people move is the key, and you just block essentially at angle. Slow isn't really as bad as it used to be. It doesn't take away all your handling. It doesn't essentially make you blind in any way like a smoke bomb does. So the value of it is 0. On top of that, you get those on this too. Why use Renewal Grasp on Stasis Hunter when you can use it on Prismatic Hunter? So this is how I look at things. You might think this is not the key, but I think you can use anything, which is why there's no subclass in the C tier. This is how I think like the best things and utility is on every subclass when you put them together and just list why you would use something over something else. So essentially, I would say Night Stalker is best, then Prismatic Hunter, then it would be Arc Hunter, then it would be Strand Hunter, then it would be Solar Hunter, and then Stasis Hunter, right? I feel like if you look at it that way, it would make more sense than seeing Stasis Hunter essentially just as good as Behemoth. Some people that might not make sense. Some people who probably hates Behemoth think it's the worst shit ever. They can't use anything. Might think, oh, Stasis Hunter's not that bad. But if you compare it to everything else the Hunter has, it makes it so much worse. Now, you might not agree with my list, and that's why it's a very personal list. This is how I look at things from playing hundreds of games of comp this season alone. Genuinely, you can go on my Destiny tracker and check. I got the emblem, and I'm done with comp, and this is my thoughts afterwards. I would have said Strand Warlock would have been like here if I didn't see anyone play it. I think the only subclass I haven't seen too much utility of yet is Strand Titan, which is why it's where it's at. If I see some crazy plays with it, and I'm just talking from personal experience, I've played it before. It's really good with a glaive, but I feel like glaives aren't really good in the current state. They're good, but their hit detection on their shots are just awful and wonky at the moment. If that wasn't the case, just saying. And Behemoth needs some serious help, seriously. They kind of fixed something that wasn't broken just to break it, essentially. My reasoning for mostly, this is how I look at it. Behemoth is tied to the melee. If the melee is bad, there's no reason to use it. Shiver Shrike is really good in a sense where it's a bigger Icarus dash at the moment. You don't want to hit anyone with it, because when you do try to hit someone with it, it whiffs most of the time at the moment, and it didn't really happen like it does now from personal experience, which is why I'm a little bit upset. Before, the only problem was the double melee. You could double melee someone, and that was an issue. I do agree with that a lot. But now, the melee just doesn't hit at all after they reworked how the melee worked. They increased the tracking, so it tracks from further away, tries to lunge you at something it knows it can't hit. And for that, it will automatically track you to the wrong target, whiff completely, or it will hit them and not do any damage. That's how the melee is currently operating most of the time, which is why I put it where it is. I like the fast movement. It competes with Solar Warlock. It just doesn't have the air utility, the super utility, nor the healing utility. Rhyme Stealer is good, Stasis Charges are good, and having Rhyme up, playing a Rhyme subclass doesn't really work solo, but if you had multiple, it would have been better. The reason Behemoth was so much better last season was because of all of the artifact mods. This season, there is no such thing. So that's why the list of things change constantly and how they work, even though Bungie didn't touch it. Because Arc is really good this season, Arc Hunter is extremely good. If not, it would look something like this maybe. But it is, and that's why it is. Does that make sense? Like, Arc Titan isn't really that good. It only really has knockout to it, but it has the freeness right now of having bolt charge that do more damage than they're supposed to. I hope this makes sense to some people and why I put it where it is. But, like, something you can take notes from, Void Hunter needs to get looked at, Solar Warlock needs to get looked at, Knockout needs to get looked at, And essentially else, I don't think anything else needs to be looked at from how this list is and how I'm explaining things. Hope that makes sense. Again, the comp video will come out sometime this week. I don't know how long it will take, but I have literally hundreds of hours of comp footage that I need to go through. Anyway, thank you for watching, and let me know your opinion on what you think. If you think I'm completely fucking crazy, or if I'm completely fucking right, that's up to you. Anyway, I'll see you guys around. Goodbye.